Hey, all, it's Dinosa again, and I got one more video I had to post tonight. It's simply about a movie called Frankenstein, which I was asked to do briefly, and I went out and did it. And um, I gotta say, it starred the guy that played basically Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight, which was a long time ago, I know. And it starred him, and it was a spin-off on the tale of Frankenstein, how a man created a human, but it mixes it with a bunch of Christianity and a unknown war to humans between get this, gargoyles and demons. The demon part is believable here. The gargoyle thing, interesting. It was an interesting approach, but not surprising. Gargoyles in medieval times was known to protect the castles from evil spirits and all that. So, neat little twist on that. But anyway, what the story is that Frankenstein that is a creature that man made without the birth of men on that, and or I should say the contraception between mankind and or man and woman. He was just sewn together, electricity shocked, and boom, here you have Frankenstein. So the plot line circles around that he doesn't have a soul because he wasn't blessed with a soul from God and from men. And he wasn't created, he wasn't a demon either. He was in the middle. So, interesting enough here. Now, if you're going to involve the Christian philosophy here, you're forgetting one important thing, and that is the sinful nature of mankind. Whereas this monster, Frankenstein, was abandoned by his master, went back, killed his master's wife, or Frankenstein's wife. Then his master laid chase to him and froze to death, and he came back and buried his master. Well, here's the problem with the whole movie right there, is that if you really, the sinful nature, if you didn't have that nature, then you probably wouldn't have killed the wife. Who knows? I might be wrong on that interpretation, but that's the way I'm looking at it. But it was an interesting concept how this guy, this Frankenstein monster, spends the next 200 years fighting nothing but demons, and then he ends up getting to the modern world. And nothing's changed. He hasn't grown older, he hasn't died. All he does is beat up demons and keeps walking the earth looking for peace. So he eventually realizes that after all his demon night, he needs to come back to where it all began, at the cathedral, where he was told all this information and how he was defended by the gargoyles. Well, the lot's changed. The gargoyles are weaker, and they tell him what's going on that about the war, and that they need their help. Okay, so he, in response on that, just starts going nuts on that. As far as this, his weapons are just two sticks, and he bonks everyone with them. On that, it's actually based off of real martial arts in Thailand. Very effective art. They actually teach it with police. It's just two. I think it's tone foul or something like that. It's just two sticks, and you can just smack, smack, smack without cutting them. Just smack them like just in the next week. But it takes a lot of strength to do it right. Which obviously the actors did trained. They did a really good job on that. But simply what happened is while this is all going on, the head demon prince is trying to figure out how can we do what Frankenstein pulled off. And in the meantime, Frankenstein's journal, the Dr. Frankenstein's journal, is being protected by the gargoyles because it had the key. And they're getting closer and closer. And then they were able to successfully animate a rat that was dead, bring it back to life. So the theory was is that if they could get Frankenstein or they get the book, they can find out how he did it and then go from there. All right, so that's good. That's good to know that point. So everything starts building up to the book, and then find the information, and then find out who the head prince is on that. So then what happens is that Frankenstein starts going out to the demons to confront them more and more. But then the gargoyles show up, grab him, and says, "You're a danger because you're fighting this war in public. You need to do it from the shadows." And then they put him in here. And at this point, that's when the demons invade the church where all the gargoyles are, because there's two objectives: one, get the Frankenstein; two, get the queen of the gargoyles. Two objectives on that. So they got one. They got the queen, and they said they made a deal that either you bring back the book and we'll give you the queen, or no, I'm sorry, you bring back Frankenstein, we'll give you the queen. Well, they didn't have Frankenstein anymore, but they had the book. So they brought the book and said, "This is better. I got the book and the whole journal to explain how he did it, and you can repeat this process with the book." So then many of them are just like, that's a good point. So they made the deal. They switched the queen for the book. The queen escapes, and the queen, feeling out of desperation, chastises her people for doing that, but she's grateful to be back. Frankenstein, whose name is now Adam, given him by the queen, on that, catches up with them, tells them what he's going to do, and they say, "One of your friends will fall and defend you." But then she tells Gideon, one of the other gargoyles, that as soon as you find that he sees the book, kill him. So between all this mess, there's these two scientists. One's a cute blonde, of course. One's an old man. And they're on the verge of discovery here. And even with everything they know, they're just not quite there. Well, Frankenstein meets up with the young girl finally, and because he found out she's a scientist, he goes to her and asks her to explain, like, the whole book, explain everything to him. And she read the whole book from top to finish and figured out how to do it, or how to replicate it. And then there was no real need for the book because now she knew it all. So they had the book, and then later on, more demons are looking for them. It's just getting more and more here. But what you don't know is then you find out, while they're chasing the book around, there is an army of dead bodies that are in stasis below the medical building where they're doing the reanimation, that are being ready to be reanimated but with no soul. But what happens is those are shells for demons from hell to come up and take over those bodies to lay waste to humanity and literally take over and rule the world and all these souls. And that's why they need the book, because they got to figure out how Frankenstein did this so they can reanimate the body and bring the demons back. Well, this fight, this part of it was not really addressed towards the end. Most of it was just kind of fluke stuff. But towards the end, the demons, it's looking really bad here, and I don't want to give away too much on that. And it's a little intense on that. But looking at it on an objective standpoint, on that, between the demons and the Christian gargoyles, I'll put on that, they acted more like humans than they did gargoyles on that, and then in some ways that paid off, in other ways it didn't on that. But what I thought was the most interesting part was with all these, I wouldn't say that, but I would say the most interesting part here is that the demons start really winning, and even Even then, like the main demon finally reveals himself, and it's not looking good. And I won't release what happens on that, but I will say this: overall, the movie's decent movie. I think it's more of a rental, not a movie theater movie. I'm pissed I paid full price about that movie. There were some moments that were kind of funny, but overall it was okay. Just it's that movie needed some work. That movie, I think the timing of the movie was wrong. The gargoyle thing threw everything off. I think if you look at the recipe, it should have been a hit, but it just really wasn't because the acting wasn't quite there. On that. Now, what I will say, what I was proud of the theater is they kept the previews down to less than 10 minutes, but I got to see the Godzilla preview in the movie screen, and that just looks way awesome on the internet, where you just, it's like Godzilla on that, which was freaking sick. That one I really can't wait for. But I just want to just say that this movie is good. It's a decent movie. A lot of it in the beginning reminded me of Brotherhood of the Wolf, but then later on that was killed on that. But it's a watch. It's definitely a DVD rental and movie theater. I wouldn't go there. But anyway, this is Dinosaur. I hope everything is okay, and I'll talk to you later.